No, Michael, I'm asking you that you don't do that. I'm asking that you just stay on the phone with me and talk to me.
My skin's so God, what I do when I...
What kind of gun do you have?
It's a Ruger. So I had it 22.
Have you picked it? Do you still have it again?
Huh?
Do you have the firearm again?
Yeah, it's sitting right here by me.
But it's set down, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cops have been dead. My grandkids and stole from us.
Are your grandkids in the residence? Is that the two children you were talking about?
No, they're just little boys. They're like 6 and 7. Oh, they're sleeping upstairs. My wife is asleep.
Okay.
Oh, my God. At least they got rid of their demons. Oh, God, I don't know. I'm going to have to shoot myself.
Okay, Michael, I don't want you to do that, though. I want you to stay on the line, and I want you to talk with me, okay? And I'm going to see if we can get you some help.
I can hear my son moaning. I'm probably going to have to go shoot it again.
No,
I had
Michael.
to put him out of his misery. Oh, my God.
Okay, so do you think that he's still breathing?
Yes, I think he is. Oh, God.
What room is he in?
He's in the living room, on the couch, and my daughter's upstairs in the bedroom. Oh, my God.
Okay.
Oh.
Do you have a cordless phone, Michael?
I have a what?
Are you on a cordless phone right now talking with me?
Cordless line. I'm on a regular telephone.
You're on a telephone. It's not a cordless phone. You can't.
Yes, it's a cordless.
It is a cordless phone.
Yeah.
So you're able. Are you still in the kitchen?
Oh my God! Get some ambulances here.
Okay.
Here. The door's unlocked.
Is it okay?
Oh my God!
The front door is unlocked.
Front door's unlocked, but I'm gonna have to shoot myself.
No, Michael, I want you to.
There's too many years. This is going on. It's going on and on.
I don't want you to harm yourself. I want you to stay on the line and talk with me, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Michael, I'm going to give you some... Michael, I'm going to give you...
I hate it.
Okay, Michael, I'm going to give you some instructions that I want you to listen to, okay? I want to make sure that you have the gun and you set it down. Or you set the gun down, okay? And then I want you to go... out front because there's officers there that are going to talk to you, okay? And then we can get some help that you need, okay? And get your son some help. Can you do that for me?
I want to die, but I want to die.
Michael, can you do that for me? Can you go to the front door, make sure you don't have the gun in your hand, and go contact the officers at the front?
I will.
Are you going to the front door now?
Just I had to put my jacket on. I'm shaking like a leaf.
Okay, so you're going to put your jacket on. I want to make sure that you have nothing in your hands, okay?
Yes. Yes.
Let me know when you're going to the front door so I can let them know too.
Okay.
Okay, are you going to...
The gun's sitting on the counter here in the kitchen.
Okay, the gun is on the counter. Okay, that's good. Are you going to the front door now?
Yeah, I'm walking to the front door now.
He's walking to the front door?
I gotta get something. My nose is running like crazy. I don't know.
Okay. We'll get you something for that. First, I want you to go to the front door like you were doing. Okay.
I use some toilet paper.
Are you still going to the front door?
We tried to get help for him. The little boys, they need counseling so bad.
Are you going to the front door, Michael?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay. Where are you at now?
I have no weapon on me. I have no weapon on me. I have no weapon on me.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me know when you're at the front door, okay?
Okay, I'm at the front door.
He's at the front door. Do what the police say, okay?
Michael, who was 70 years old, says that he will regret killing his children for the rest of his life. He was only given a 5-year sentence for killing both of his adult children as they slept. He also claims that he loves his children. Here is a quote from Michael. "I loved my children when they were born, and I love them now, and I will always love them, no matter what happened."
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
As part of your credit card's reward program, there's a 5% discount applied to your hotel room. $120 for the night, please.
Oh, 5% off as well as free Wi-Fi. Not bad.
$95 for the night, please, sir.
Wait, what?
If you use Trivago, Trivago will compare hotel prices from hundreds of websites worldwide, so you can often find a better deal for your hotel room. And also free Wi-Fi. Maybe you should try Trivago next time. Hotel Trivago.
Everything must go with American Freight. Don't wait. Take it home today for $50 and no payments for 60 days. Mattress sets from $49 each piece. Memory foam sets from $119 each piece. Sofas from $198. Sectionals from $298. 3-piece bedroom sets from $198. 3 rooms of furniture, 18 pieces from $998. Free layaway till tax time or longer if needed. Same-day delivery ends February 29th. For a store near you, visit AmericanFreight.com.
Number 1. During the night, some security staff were monitoring the CCTV at an office in Manchester, England, when they became witnesses to a truly disturbing set of events. This is the actual footage seen by those security guards as they flickered from camera to camera. Be warned, it's terrifying and jumpy in some parts.
Welcome to r/entitled parents, where an entitled mother yells at a disabled person. Me again from the animal shelter, which is a magnet for the crazy and over-entitled of the world. Enter 60-year-old entitled grandma. She comes into our shelter with this tiny little poodle that is skin and bones, missing hair and blind and seemingly deaf. The dog looks like it died months ago and didn't know it. Well, entitled grandma brings his dog in and says it's a stray she found. We ask her the basics. Do you live in this county is one of the biggest questions we ask. See, what some people don't know is that every county in a state has its own county animal shelter or animal control facility. Any stray animal found must be brought to that county shelter, usually within 48 hours of finding the animal. It's illegal to take a stray animal from one county and surrender it to an animal shelter in a different county that you don't live in. Now, that being said, entitled grandma doesn't live in this county. However, she claims to have found this dog running down the road in our county. Okay, it happens. We take the dog in and I get called to do its medical exam. I make sure the dogs and cats and whatever else we get has their proper shots and medication so they don't get sick while here, or if they are sick, so we can at least start getting them healthy. This requires a lot of wrestling with big animals that can kill me if they timed it right, who don't want to take their pill or get a shot. So I take this little poodle into the back, and first thing I do is scan any animal coming in for a microchip. Chip comes up instantly. I research the chip, and sure enough, it's from the next county over that entitled grandma lives in. Registered to that county's animal control. This is a red flag for me. This tells me it's her dog. However, I follow through and contact the next county's animal control. They pull up the chip number and give me the owner's name, address, and phone number. It's not entitled grandma. Okay, I think to myself, well, I've been wrong before. I called the owner on the chip. The owner isn't entitled grandma, but it turns out the owner is entitled grandma's daughter. Hello, is this entitled grandma's daughter? Yes, who's this? Yeah, this is OP from County Animal Shelter. Are you missing a small elderly poodle? No, I got a poodle for my mother as a present back in 2016. Did it get lost? No, your mother brought it in and told us it was a stray she found. She falsified information on a government form and abandoned her animal. These are pretty serious issues. She needs to come get her dog now. I understand, and I'll call her and make sure she comes and gets her dog back. About a half hour goes by, and my desk phone goes off. It's the daughter's number. I think, okay, this is them telling me they're coming back. Nope. Hello, County Animal Shelter. This is Open speaking. It was the daughter, sounding very frustrated. Yes, this is the daughter calling back. Entitled grandma isn't coming back for the dog. She says she doesn't want it anymore because she thinks it's old and ugly. She demanded I get her a teacup chihuahua instead. Well, that's between you and her, but either you or her need to come get this dog, as it's an actual crime to surrender your animal to a shelter in a county you don't live in, let alone the animal abandonment charges and putting down false information on a government form. I understand, but I work in another county and can't make it in time to get the dog. Then your mother needs to be an adult and come get her dog. She's got till the end of the day, otherwise we'll be filing a police report. Well, she's old. She shouldn't have to deal with this kind of stress. She should have considered that before she lied to us and abandoned her animal. Have you even seen this dog? It's skin and bones. You are aware that animal cruelty is a felony in this state, right? Fine, I'll come get the dang dog. We close at posted hours. She hangs up. I go to lunch. I doubt I'll see her or the mother, but I'm true to my word. If they don't get here by the end of the day, they're going to be dealing with the police instead of us. I think this entitled grandma needs to be careful about telling people that things that are old and ugly need to be tossed aside, because honestly, it sounds like this entitled grandma deserves to be thrown out on the street. Our next Reddit post is from I'm Not Sure. On my 18th birthday, my parents and I all got tattoos, not matching ones, and I paid for it myself. I got one of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch playing the ukulele, and it says Ohana under it. It's on my upper back, so a lot of times when I wear dresses and some shirts, it shows a bit. It's important to note that after being sexually assaulted when I was younger, I've always had severe anxiety to strangers and new people touching me. So a couple of years ago, I was at a store with some friends when entitled kid, about 8-ish, sees my tattoo sticking out of my tank top. It was summer, but it only showed about half. The entitled kid squeals and goes, "Mommy, look, it's Stitch." We were in a gaming store, so I figured the kid was talking about some merchandise. Then entitled kid says, "I want to see it." And without saying an effing word to me, the entitled mother pulls down the back of my tank top so that her effing kid can see my tattoo. I lose it. I turn around and smack her hand away as tears are already coming in my eyes. Please don't touch me again. I have to take deep breaths from screaming at this lady. The entitled mother looks like I just kicked an innocent puppy.
What is wrong with you? Why would you hit me like that?
One of my friends steps forward. She hit you because you touched her without her consent. What made you think you could touch her in the first place?
My son wanted to see her Disney tattoo, and I just wanted to let him see the rest of it,
Entitled mother said defensively. You should have just asked, I tell her, and I can finally breathe again. I love showing it off. If you'd asked, I would have had my friends help with my shirt. You can't just go around touching people like that. Entitled mother looks flabbergasted, as if she has never heard of common decency.
I don't know why you're getting so worked up. It's not a big deal.
At that point, I'd had enough and didn't feel like being there anymore and started walking away when she yells after me.
Aren't you going to let my son see your tattoo? He didn't get a good look.
My friend, now pissed, turns and tells her, no, she isn't. Please leave us alone now. We all walked away before she could do or say anything else. I still get upset thinking about that incident to this day. I never got over my stranger anxiety, and honestly, she made it worse. A lot of people really need to learn how to be considerate of others. The funny thing is, if you had just walked up to that Karen and randomly touched some part of her body, I bet she would have flipped out. Our next Reddit post is from Avios. It's snowing where I live, a lot more than what we're used to getting. We live in a military town. The schools and most other businesses follow the base's lead when it comes to weather-related closures. The base is essential personnel only right now, so I got the day off. I live across the street from the base housing. My husband and I decided to buy our own house instead of living there, but we're still close enough to utilize their parks. Now to the story. The base house has a little park every block, or less. Honestly, a ridiculous amount of parks. We normally just go to the one closest to our house, but since it's been snowing, we decided to go to one further away because it had better hills. My oldest, 4, was bundled up tight and using his sled down the hill, then hiking back up. At one point in time, he got distracted and left the sled, at which point another child jumped on it and was playing with it. That's fine. My son decided he wanted to hike back up and went to get his sled. Now, it's important to know that I'm carrying my youngest, 3 months old, and because of that, it's unsafe for me to go down the hill in case I fall. I couldn't hear what the oldest was saying to the other child, but eventually he got his sled back and was dragging it up the hill. Enter entitled mother. My son is up the hill now and walking towards me to push him down when he's stopped by entitled mother. Entitled mother reaches for the sled and my son very audibly says, "No, I used my words." We're teaching him to use his words instead of hitting when he's frustrated. Entitled mother reaches for the sled again as I'm walking up. Excuse me, can I help you?
Is this your child?
Yes, he is. Again, can I help you?
Your child stole this from mine. I watched him.
This is his sled. I bought it in the nearby town last Christmas. Your child was playing with it for a while, then mine wanted it back.
No, my child was playing with the sled and yours took it.
I watched everything that happened. Yes, your child was playing with my son's sled. Then my son used his words and took it back.
I've never seen you before. Are you even supposed to be here? You know this park is restricted, right? This is military only.
I am well within my rights to utilize this park. I grab my son with the sled and go to walk away. But that would be too easy, right? Entitled mother grabs the sled from my son's hand and turns around. Excuse me, do not take things from my child. Who do you think you are?
What did you just say to me?
Give him the sled back. I'm not playing this right now.
Do you even know who I am? My husband is a certain rank. You can't speak to me that way.
Congratulations. Your husband's rank has absolutely nothing to do with you stealing from my child. I yanked the sled back, picked up my toddler. Keep in mind, I'm still wearing my youngest, and went to walk away. Entitled mother grabbed for the sled again, causing me to lose my footing. Thank God I didn't fall, because I probably would have had her head. Look, you effing grunt, your husband has nothing to do with my husband's career, but your actions have everything to do with his. Keep this stuff up and I will get the military police involved. Touch me, either of my children, or the sled again and I'll put you on the ground. I'm not playing this game anymore. What you just did put both my children in danger. Walk the F away.
You're threatening me and cussing in front of my child? Who do you think you are? I will report this. I've never even seen you here before. You don't belong here.
You've never seen me because I work for a living. I don't give a flip about what your kid hears. I'm walking away. Touch me again and I will not hesitate to hurt you. Entitled Mother was yelling more as I walked away, then proceeded to glare at us until my son got cold and we went to walk back. I've heard of these type of people, but I can't believe I encountered one in the wild. I've dealt with my fair share of entitled parents, but trying to steal from a 4-year-old, endangering a 3-month-old? That's a new low for me. So down in the comments, people asked OP how high that lady's husband's rank was, and she said he was an E5, which, if you don't know, is kinda high ranking. Loosely speaking, there's 9 ranks with 1 being the lowest and 9 being the highest, so saying that her husband was an E5 isn't that much of a flex. It's not like her husband was running the base or anything. Also worth noting, and I may be wrong about this, but I seem to recall something about this from when I covered a military subreddit a while back, but I think the way it works is that a military person is responsible for the behavior of their spouse while on base. So if that entitled mother had actually assaulted the lady, or even worse, injured a child, then her high-ranking husband would have been in huge trouble. Our next Reddit post is from DocOCD. This happened years ago when my husband and I lived on a military base and I ran an in-home daycare that was regulated through Child and Youth Services, CYS. We had 1 child of our own, and it was a remote base, so jobs were scarce, so I figured this was a good option for me to work and be able to also stay home with our kiddo. The daycare spots were a shortage, and that meant I was full and even had a wait list. This also meant I could kind of pick and choose the kids I had in my care. For the most part, I had great kids and decent parents. I even became friends with one of the sets of parents, and that was my mistake. The mom, let's call her Karen, seemed to be normal, not entitled when we first met. We even had her family over for barbecues on a couple weekends, and things were good. During the time of having the daycare open, I became pregnant with our 2nd child. I have issues with headaches, and when I'm pregnant, it gets so much worse. Karen began asking me to babysit after hours for free, as friends for me. I agreed once in exchange for her watching our son once in return, and she agreed. I watched Karen's kids, and she never followed through and watched ours. After that, Karen frequently asked me to allow her kids to stay late and not get charged, and also she would ask me to babysit after hours for free, and each time I would say no and I used my headaches as a reason. Karen actually said, "You can't use being pregnant as an excuse forever." I said no, not forever, but for about 9 months. And it was about this time I knew I wouldn't be able to keep running my daycare after a couple of months because of the high-risk nature of my pregnancy. I started by informing the CYS and then put a letter together for the parents, and I gave them 2 months notice to find care. This was an additional 30 days over and above what is required in the contract. I wanted to be fair, and I knew it might be hard to find care. I was also releasing them from their contracts as soon as they could find care. They didn't need to give me notice. I handed out the letters at pickup that day. Karen waited till the other parents left and tore up her letter with a smile. "Will you throw this away for me?" Sure, but you did get the gist, right? Yeah, you're closing your daycare because you're pregnant and don't want to deal with all those other people. No, I'm closing because I have a high-risk pregnancy and my doctor says I shouldn't be chasing after all the kids and I will have a lot of appointments. Yeah, but you can still watch Kid 1 and Kid 2 for me. And since you won't be a full daycare, you can do it for a lot cheaper. Karen, I'm closing my daycare. Okay, then at least you could watch my kids for free while I find daycare and be my backup care. No, I'm sorry, Karen, I'm not doing that. This is ridiculous. Women get pregnant all the time and you already have to watch your son. You can totally watch my 2 kids too, or are you telling me you can't watch your son either? I'm not going into this. I think it's time for you to find a new provider. Fine, but I don't think I should have to pay while I look. You have to pay, or I'll stop watching your kids. Karen left with her kids. She kept bringing her kids, and when it came time for her payment, all of a sudden her husband came to get the kids and drop them off, and said Karen will be bringing the payment. This went on for 2 days, and then I told them that if I wasn't paid, I would not accept the kids into care, and they would still owe me for the past due. Karen showed up on the 3rd day and wrote a check. This was normal, but it bounced, and that was not. I then contacted CYS and let them know, per the contract. I gave them an invoice with a $25 NSF fee and a 48-hour notice to pay full in cash. Karen's husband showed up and paid, but he said Karen was going to be upset because she didn't want to pay. I guess she felt I should be watching their kids for free since I was closing my daycare. I talked to her husband and said I feel it's best he find new care as soon as possible, and that until he does, I would need to be paid in advance for the care. I had the kids for 2 weeks more. And this is a funny event that happened way later. After I gave birth to our daughter, this had to be about a year and a couple of months after closing the daycare, Karen called me. She wanted me to babysit her kids overnight so they could go to Las Vegas on a military ball. Oh, did I mention she wanted me to do this for free? I said no. With friends like that, who needs enemies? Our next Reddit post is from Crazy Squirrel Girl. To set up my vehicle, my husband is disabled and we have a scooter that's on a lift attached to the back. Drive through any Veterans Affairs and you'll see these lifts. While running errands, I stopped at a grocery store. I waited for a car to back out, throw it in from the door, next to handicap parking. Score. I put on my turn signal and wait. I wave to the dude and pull in. I sit there dancing in the seat because "You Spin Me Right Round" is on the radio. Suddenly, there's a loud knocking on my window. After I scream a little, I lower the window 2 inches. There she is, the dread Karen. Stuck in the 90s with the long stringy hair that's black at the roots, 3 inches down and blonde the other 10 inches. Can I help you?
Why did you park here? You're obviously handicapped. Park in the next spot. I need this. I have kids.
No. My husband is the disabled one and he...
Just move your car. It's gonna snow and I don't want my daughter in the snow.
It's illegal for me to park there because my husband isn't with me.
I don't care. You had that thingy.
She points towards the back of my van.
Just park there.
Okay. I glance in the rearview mirror. You shouldn't leave your kid in a car alone with the driver door open. That's how kidnapping happens. Goodbye. I roll up the window. The entitled mother makes a screeching noise and hits my window again. Basically, I waited until she got back in her car and drove off. Then I headed into the store and tried to shop. She would appear like a pop-up book from hell, making snide comments, then disappear again. That was r/entitled parents, and if you like this video, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled parent stories. Our first story we'll be reading today: Halloween tradition ruined by entitled parent and entitled kid. After that, engineer upsets the crew, gets left behind 250 miles from home. And after that, absurdly long checkout. Now Karen told me if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, she won't ruin any more traditions for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And by the way, join as an official member of the Re-Army today, and I'll give you a special shout out in our next video. Halloween tradition ruined by entitled parent and entitled kid. This happened over 10 years ago, so some of the dialogue may not be word for word, but it was the actions that are key to the story. Me and my wife don't have any kids. We weren't able to have any due to health reasons, but we used to live in a suburb which had many families with kids. What we would do each year is go all out on Halloween. It was a way we could give back to the community and have fun while doing it. We probably have enough Halloween decorations and animatronics to supply a couple haunted houses with stuff left over. So we try to do something different every year for the kids and dress up to hand out candy. It's our favorite holiday. Each year we would divide the decorations. In the backyard we had stoves, scary music, fog machines, several animatronics, and it was pretty cool, but intimidating to some of the kids. Some of them would cry out of fear if their parents suggested going through the backyard to get candy. In the front yard, we had some more tame decorations, and my wife was dressed up handing out candy. In the backyard, I had a huge candy dish set up, but I was hidden out of sight, controlling some of the effects and animatronics. This year, we had 20 pounds of candy, 4 5-pound bags, split between the front yard and the backyard. After the first year of setting up the elaborate displays, our house became the must-see attraction on Halloween. And we learned very quickly that it's always better to have too much candy than too little. We would do something extra special for the kids that were first to show up. One year, it was king-sized candy bars for the first 10. Another year, we gave candy and $1 coins. This year, we were feeling generous, so we decided $5 to the first 10 kids, which was split between the front yard and back. My wife had 5 $5 bills she handed out, and I had 5. I chose to lay out 5 regular-sized candy bars with a $5 bill taped to each one, and set them in front of the huge bowl of candy, which had both 5-pound bags emptied into it. Now, I should point out that we never had any issues in previous years. I always used the honor system in the backyard, allowing the kids to get their own candy, and my wife would hand it out. The kids had a great time and were always respectful. We actually garnered a lot of thanks from neighbors for going all out for them. The kids enjoyed it and would go out of their way to do nice things in return for us, such as shoveling our driveway, cutting our grass, etc. Okay, back to the story. This particular year, it had gotten dark before they started trick-or-treating. So I took advantage of the darkness with some of the more stealthy animatronics, ones that moved but were hard to see because they were not lighted, like snakes, spiders, and bats. From the sidewalk, kids that were not scared or wanted to be scared would walk down a small path around a few trees where I had let the grass grow close to knee-high, which helped camouflage the strobe lights and fog machines. I would have a few small outdoor speakers playing some kind of creepy or scary sounds or music as the kids would walk down the path to a clearing in front of our shed where we had this huge, creepy-looking wicker chair and a motion-triggered zombie that sat in it. You would have to pass in front of the zombie to get to the table, which had the candy, and a sign stating that we use the honor system. Please take 1 piece of candy. Well, the first kid showed up. A boy, his sister, and their mom. It was not uncommon for them to be accompanied by their mom or dad if they dared to go into the backyard. Both kids took one look down the dark path and chose to go to the front yard for candy. This continued for about 10 minutes before another kid gathered up the courage to come through the backyard. Yes, I scared the crap out of him. But when he made it to the table, he just stood there. I wasn't sure if he was still shook up from the zombie jumping up because he just stood at the table for a moment, afraid to take any candy. This happens a lot too, because they think something will grab them if they touch the candy. One year, we used the candy bowl with the hidden hand that would do just that, but not this year. I sat down the controls and stepped out from the shadows, which scared him again. I was wearing a long black cloak and black gloves and skeleton face makeup to assure him that he could take one of the $5 candy bars. He grabbed it and ran quickly back up the path to what I guess was his brother who had received candy from the front door. Me and my wife had a system to communicate when someone would take one of the $5 candy bars, so we would make sure no one would go to the backyard and then try to go to the front yard. I would flip the floodlights on the corner of the house, which she could see. We had a sign along our wooden fence that pointed out that you could choose the scary path or the less frightening front door. It was probably 5 minutes before 2 kids that looked about 10 or 12 came through the backyard together. They walked slowly, teasing each other along the way, jumping and screaming out of fear occasionally when one of the bats or spiders or other animatronics activated by their proximity or motion. They eventually made it to the candy table, after screaming when the zombie lurched forward as they walked past it, but each took $5 bars. This left me with 2 more to give out, and then I would be on the normal fun-size Halloween candy. 5 pounds of Twix, Milky Way, 3 Musketeers, and Hershey's. The next group I could see was 2 smaller kids, around 3 to 5, with an obese kid who looked 14 or 15, accompanied by entitled mom. The 2 little ones made their way to the front porch after older kid motioned for them to go get candy. Then entitled mom and older kid decided to walk down the path into the backyard together. One of the first things I hear wasn't a startled scream, but the stuck-up voice of entitled mom. "What a horrible waste of money. This is ridiculous." It was shrill and snide sounding. What she said angered me a bit, but I didn't want to ruin it for her kid, so I rushed to reset the zombie and to take cover. Now, Entitled Mom made sure she was speaking loudly enough so that anyone in the backyard could hear her. Entitled Mom: "This isn't something for kids. This is sick." I assumed it was a front to make herself not sound scared. I could see she had a death grip on older kid's shoulder as they walked down the path. They both screamed as one of the bats had swooped down at them. They ran on a wire when triggered, and one could come at you from the left and one from the right. Older kid sounded like he was getting shook up pretty good because he was whining, not saying anything, just this unsteady whine, which was odd for an older kid. Entitled Mom decided to chime in again quite angrily. "These people are sick. We do not need this in our neighborhood. Just plain sick." It was quiet again until older kid screamed again when he had triggered one of the snakes in the grass. I could hear him trying to fight back tears at this point, like a bumbling, whimpering cry, but they pressed on. Entitled Mom: "I will take care of this. Just you watch." Now, I was assuming this was a parent that was trying to reassure their frightened kid, although he was a teenager. So I didn't think much about her comment at that moment. I was too busy thinking in my head where I would scare them. In retrospect, I wish I had paid attention better and realized it was an Entitled Mom up to no good. I stood behind the shed, waiting silently for the zombie to trigger. When it was triggered, it lurched forward while making an angry moan. It should have happened within a minute of the snake. After a minute and a half, I peeked around the shed to see Entitled Mom and older kid waddling. Their size prevented them from being able to run towards the entrance. It only took me a second to notice they had stolen all of the candy that was on the table and the 2 $5 candy bars. I was mad. I started running after them. I'm a tall guy and very fast on my feet. I got about 3 good strides in before I tripped over wires. I looked down and saw that Entitled Mom had cut the wires on the animatronic bats. When I looked up again, I could see her gathering her 2 little ones and hurrying them to a car with older kid. I was seething at this point. Her car was parked in front of my next door neighbor's house. I was at full speed as the car started and she stomped on the gas as I punched her passenger window, where older kid was holding the full candy bowl up with a huge grin on his tear-streaked face. The window didn't break, it only made Entitled Mom recklessly speed out of the parking spot with no regard for the kids that were trick-or-treating all over the neighborhood. Several parents and neighbors came up and asked me what was going on. I explained what they had stolen. Thankfully, one of the parents had got the license plate number before she sped off our street. I was ticked, but realized that we had other kids that wanted to visit. I closed the gate and explained to my wife what had happened. We decided to split the front door candy so we could at least pass out candy in the backyard, allowing other kids to enjoy our haunt. When I went back there to fix what Entitled Mom had broken, I realized that she had cut power cords as well. I took the candy back to my wife at the front door, knowing it would take me a while to fix the damage. I quickly began making repairs and adjustments. About 5 minutes later, the police had shown up, thanks to a neighbor that had called them. They took a description of the car and plates, while I filed a report about the incident. By the time I had finished with the police, the 2 hours of trick-or-treating had ended. My wife had about half a bowl of candy left and said she might have seen about 100 kids. I had seen 3, and 2 thieves who ruined the rest of the night for the other kids that wanted to attend. We had considered holding over for another night and allowing them to come again, but unfortunately the weather had got cold and very rainy, which messes up our animatronics. It was a few days before the cops had located Entitled Mom. She lived almost 30 miles away and brought her kids to my neighborhood because they had heard rumors about our mini haunt. She and her son were charged with destruction of property, vandalism, and criminal mischief. Apparently